Boston Celtics win game 4. Jaylen Brown ditches the mask and is awesome. Robert Williams does everything. And Tuesday night now becomes a must-win game. And I'll tell you why right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I'm here for you every day with a free, fresh podcast drop directly to your device. If you're a subscriber, pick up that app, that podcasting app, click on Locked On Celtics, subscribe, do it on YouTube, hop into the comments section, join the conversation, start a conversation, whatever you want to do. I'm John Karalis. I used to play once upon a time. Now I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. And I'm coming to you after the Boston Celtics get that big 129-121 win in Game 4 of their opening round series against the Atlanta Hawks. First, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. First-time users, you get a 100% instant deposit match of up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. Later on, why Tuesday's Game 5 is a must-win. It's not just because I picked Celtics in 5. It's not just because the series is basically going exactly how I said it would go. Not that I'm some savant. I just following a pretty standard script for a team in this position. But that's a must-win game that's coming up later. Individual performances, also why Dejounte Murray might get suspended. You've probably seen that by now. That's in the second segment. Let's just talk about the game and why this is maybe, I think, a sign of the Celtics' maturity and the Celtics actually getting lessons from last season and applying lessons from last season. So let's just start at the beginning here. The Celtics get this win in game 4. And it was a back and forth game. This is a little bit tighter game than I thought it was going to be. And I think that's mostly because DeAndre Hunter had 27 points. And that was just an absolute, I keep saying the phrase, outlier game. That's one of those things that it can happen from time to time. And if DeAndre Hunter has a normal DeAndre Hunter game and is somewhere in the low teens or so, this isn't as close a game, and the Celtics kind of run away with it, and it becomes a much more comfortable win, which is the type of game I was expecting a little bit. So, but the Celtics were able to, I think, hold off the Hawks. I think the Celtics, my big overarching takeaway here is Hunter got this crazy game, right? One of these. They already had their wild shooting game, so I didn't expect 2 wild shooting games from the Hawks, and it wasn't. They shot 44%. They shot okay from 3, almost 38%, 14 of 37. That's fine. But overall, they did not shoot particularly well. And even though the Celtics once again lost the possession battle by giving up 9 more shot attempts, they were still able to make 3 more than the Hawks, because the Hawks just aren't that great of a shooting team all the time. But Hunter, the most important thing for Hunter, 27 points through 3 quarters, 0 in more than 10 minutes in the fourth. In the fourth quarter, the Celtics saw their lead shrink to 5 or 4 on 6 different occasions. So call that a 2-possession game. 6 different times in the fourth quarter, and they answered every single time. And after the game, Jayson Tatum was talking about last season and admitting the things that we've been saying for a long time about last season and that series in Milwaukee where they blew Game 5 and they had to win Game 6 and Game 7. And in Miami, when they had a chance to win and they had to go back to Miami to win a game 7. And we've been saying like that was costly. That hurt them last year. And Tatum finally admits, yeah, last year we played 2 games too many in the playoffs, and that came back to hurt us. Now you might be saying, John, they already played 1 game too many. This should have been a sweep. I've been saying Celtics in 5 because I will give you got to give the Hawks some level of credit. And I said this in the post-game podcast after game 3. Got to give them some credit. You knew that offense, which is still one of the best offenses in the NBA, was capable of a game where they put up 130 points. That's just the Celtics had their chances in that game and they didn't win. And you can say, hey, maybe they relaxed a little bit. I don't think it wasn't their best effort, but I don't think that was a play down to their competition game. But regardless, I still think that if they lose on Tuesday, that's 1 game too many, right? You don't want to go back to Atlanta. You just don't. But I'll talk more about that later. And that's not why it's a must-win game. But they, in this game, I think show that maturity of, you know what, we're not gonna let their run get all the way to tie or take a lead. The run gets down to 4 or 5, and the Celtics answer, and that's because of Rob. That's because of Jaylen Brown. That's because of Jayson Tatum. I mean, everybody had a role in this, but in the fourth quarter, it was 28 points combined from Tatum and Brown. They each had 31 in this game. Maturity, making plays, and bailing each other out. You know, when Jaylen made a bad play, Rob was there to bail him out. When somebody made a bad play, someone else was there to bail their teammate out, and that's important. I think that's an important way to important to winning a game. The Celtics rebounding was a lot better in this one. They out rebounded the Hawks by 7. They only gave up 11 offensive rebounds. They gave up 16 second chance points. All of those are palatable. People ask me, why are they playing drop coverage? That you let guys like Trae Young get going and all that stuff. And it's true, you're letting these guys walk into some shots, but also Trae Young is not going to kill you on those shots. Dejounte Murray is not typically going to kill you on those shots. They are going to have that one outlier game, sure, but the drop coverage allows Al Horford to drop down, and they're not just playing that, because they're trying to give up that long 2. They're mostly trying to rebound. They're mostly trying to get Al Horford and Robert Williams down on that rolling big. So when the Hawks miss that floater or whatever, that the big doesn't get the rebound. So they did a really good job rebounding. And I thought this was, and they didn't do a good job in game 3 and they lost. I think that's the beginning and the end of game 3. They didn't do a good enough job rebounding and they lost. They gave up too many second chance points. They lost on top of the crazy shooting nights. On top of that, Robert Williams, Al Horford playing together. They didn't play together in game 3, which might have been a tactical error from Joe Mazzulla. They played a lot more together in game 4, and guess what? The rebounding was a lot better. Robert Williams was awesome in this, and I'll talk more about the individuals in just a minute here, but Rob made 2 of the most important plays. The offensive rebound that ultimately he got the offensive rebound, he kicks it out, it swings over to Tatum. Tatum whips a pass down low. Rob adjusts to catch the pass and gets it over to Jaylen Brown for a 3. That was huge. That turned it was 118-108. That got it to 121-108. And that's a big difference with less than 2 minutes to go, I believe. You get that down to a minute and a half, I think. You get that if they miss and you don't get that rebound and they come down and score, next thing you know, instead of a was it a 12-point lead, 13-point lead, then it becomes a 6 or 7-point lead. You're now messing around with single digits and momentum at home in the fourth quarter. Rob makes that play and it now puts separation and pressure on a team that's not good with pressure. And the diving play to save the ball, to get it over to Jaylen for the dunk that basically ended it. That's Rob, pure hustle. You don't win this game without Robert Williams making this impact. 15 rebounds for Robert Williams. He was awesome in this game. 13 points, 2 key plays from Jaylen Brown down the stretch. You know what? I'll tease that. There were 2 key plays from Jaylen Brown down the stretch that showed his maturity and what I'm talking about here with these guys and why they are learning lessons from the past. First, let's talk about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy, made easy, made fun. Why is it fun? Why is it easy? Because it's not you against a bunch of people, which anybody who's played daily fantasy in the past or still in some of these games, there's experts out there, people with a bunch of computers, people who make it their full-time job. It's not you. You're trying to have some fun. You want daily fantasy where you can go and win some cash. So every day of the NBA playoffs, one Prize Picks user will get a chance at becoming a millionaire. How's that for cash? One entry placed after 8 a.m. Eastern will randomly be selected each day. Whoever placed that entry will be given a 6-pick flex with the following payouts. 6 correct picks, $1 million. 5 correct picks, $80,000. 4 correct picks, $16,000. First, so full details can be found at prizepicks.com/million. You have to opt in at this link to be eligible for the $1 million entry. Once you opt in, all you have to do is play the game like normal, and you could be the lucky winner. How do you play the game like normal? You pick 2 to 6 players against the Prize Picks projections. More than the projection, less than the projection, you can win. And it's every sport that's out there. So whatever sport you watch, it exists there. Entries are real quick, safe and fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. So download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com, sign up today, play daily fantasy sports. If you're a first-time user, you get a 100% instant deposit match of up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. So whatever you deposit up to $100, they will deposit the same amount, up to $100. Don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match of up to $100. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Come back tomorrow. I'll have Tom Westerholm on tomorrow to discuss this game and looking ahead to Tuesday and maybe looking ahead to Philadelphia a little bit. But we'll talk about more of this stuff. This is a quick, down dirty post-game podcast. So there's a lot of stuff after we rewatch the games to talk about on the next day. So that'll be tomorrow with Tom. Jaylen Brown had the big kind of wow moment in this by taking off his mask. Very simple. He took off his mask, and next thing you know, he was back to being his former self. He struggled in game 3. I think sometimes you go back home and you put a lot of pressure on yourself. This is his first playoff series at home in Atlanta, and I just feel like he might have got caught up in it, and he was in foul trouble, and he started off slow. It was 1 of 7. So 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. He misses a floater. They come down and score a layup. Saddiq Bey gets the layup. They call timeout, and you see him walk off. He puts the mask up on his head, and then he comes out. I don't know why, and I'm not going to sit there and say I called the mask coming off, but I just felt like in that moment when he put that mask on his head, I don't know about you, but when I saw him put that mask on his head and walk off, I was like, man, he is frustrated. Like, I felt like he wanted to throw the mask. So I was surprised that he came out without the mask, but not like so shocked. Like, it almost felt like, oh yeah, this is kind of like the natural progression. He was done with it. In fact, it was game 2 in Boston where he warmed up without the mask. So, and he had been warming up with the mask. So in game 2, I was talking to some of the reporters in the locker room, and I was like, did you notice that? And people were kind of like, yeah, I don't know what that means. And he came out and played with it, but it's felt like over the past few days that the mask was kind of the run was actually ending with the mask. And in fact, it was February 23rd when he started wearing the mask. So April 23rd, it comes off. It's a very, very nice 2 months, boom, to the day, 2 months with the mask. And then done, comes off. And he was awesome. 31 points. He scored 29 points without the mask. He was 1 of 7. And so 11 of 15 after that without the mask. But he made 2 plays. Man, I loved these plays because he comes down, he's got the ball in his hands, and I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know if I want the ball in Jaylen's hands in this situation because he's not typically a playmaker, but he came down to his credit, he came down and he made 2 plays to Rob for layups. One, he was kind of going to the left and a little bounce pass, and another one, he drew a defender and shoveled it over, and very, very, very good recognition. Great reads at the rim for Jaylen. That's a huge development for the Celtics. Down the stretch, fourth quarter, needing a basket, and him feeling it at home, in front of his home fans, in front of his family. That's a situation where you almost feel like it's not just a Jaylen thing. Anybody would try to do too much. I know I would have probably tried to do too much if that was a situation. If I was on another team and I came back to Boston in that situation and I have everybody there, I'd be like, yeah, baby, I'm feeling it. Watch me carry my team to a win. And for him to make those passes in that situation, got to give him a lot of credit for that, because not only is it the right read, but I'm sure there's a lot of human nature, human instinct that was telling him to take shots in that spot, and he didn't. And that just tells me that I think he and the team, as I said in the first segment, they're understanding, what do we got to do to win this game? What do we got to do to get these wins, whatever it is? What's the play in that moment? And I'm completely impressed by that. So I thought obviously Jaylen had a great game overall, especially, I mean, obviously after the 1 for 7 spot. So he did a great job. 31 points for him, 3 assists, 2 in that fourth quarter. Like I said, Tatum, 31 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 12 free throws. Did not shoot well, but hit the logo 3 with a couple minutes to go. That was a monster shot. He had some big shots in the fourth quarter. In fact, like I said before, they combined for 28 points in the fourth quarter. Tatum didn't shoot well, but he was 3 of 5 from 3 in that fourth quarter, and he got to the line 6 times. So that's how you close it out. Other individual performances, Derek White had a typical, 18 points, most of his damage in the first quarter. Malcolm Brogdon had another solid game. Robert Williams, I talked about, was awesome. 15 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds. Marcus Smart, got to shout out Marcus Smart. He had a great game, I thought. 19 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. But that second and third quarter, he was incredible attacking the basket. The Celtics continue to get to the rim. Yes, they get to the rim off of pick and rolls, and they, run their Spain pick and roll, which is basically, if you don't know what Spain pick and roll is, it's a big, huge hit. It's been increasing in the NBA a lot, but a pick and roll, ball handler gets the pick. So Al Horford sets the pick for, let's say, Jayson Tatum, and then Marcus Smart comes up and sets a pick on Al Horford's guy. So now there's a second pick in the action, and that helps spring guys all over the place, especially with the Hawks defense. But the Celtics continue to get to the rim without the need for that stuff. They use it, and they use misdirection, and they use all that stuff. But so often the Celtics are able to just get past that first defender. There's not even a real move or anything. It's just a quick boom. And that breaks the defense down. Marcus Smart did a great job of that. Getting to the rim really, really well. I thought Smart deserves a lot of credit there. The Celtics really, I mean, they played a bunch of guys technically, but functionally they only went 7 deep. They had 10 minutes from Sam Hauser, and that wasn't the best. They threw a curveball, Mike Muscala, in there for a minute and 17 seconds. I thought there was a stretch where he wanted to get a sub for Al Horford. Mazzulla wanted to get a sub for Al Horford, but he didn't want to give up the size or the ability to stretch the floor, so they put Muscala in. That lasted a minute and 17 seconds. Great. Grant Williams got less than a minute. A day after he hit 4 or 4, he seemed to be a guy that could box out, and there was a real frustrating stretch there in the fourth quarter where it was like, just box out a little bit more. Grab these rebounds. You're doing a good job, but you got to do a better job. And they, but he didn't. Joe Mazzulla didn't go with Grant Williams at all, except for 56 seconds, and that was it. But I think individually we saw some really good performances. My favorite stat line of the night was Al Horford, 0 points, game high plus 17. Ultimate Al Horford stat line. You see him out there getting strips, and he had 2 steals, 5 assists, led the team with 5 assists, 11 rebounds, 3 offensive. He's out there defending. He's out there doing everything the Celtics need him to do. He missed a couple of shots. He took 2 shots, but he got the ball, and when he did get the ball, he made things happen. I love when a guy is 0 point and plus 17. Good. I mean, that's the sacrifice, but that's doing everything it takes to win. I think this is a really, really, really good team win. I've been hard on the Hawks, and I think the Hawks made a ton of mistakes. And this is why I'm hard on the Hawks, because they made a ton of mistakes in this game to give the Celtics these opportunities. The Celtics took their opportunities. They won the game for sure. But man, the Hawks just kept screwing up defensive assignments, making mistakes here and there, and getting blown by and fouling and all of that stuff. It's just, and I'll talk about the refs in a minute. And when I come back, I'll talk about the schedule, I'll talk about the refs, talk about Dejounte Murray, all of that when I come back in the next segment. But the Hawks, to their credit, they fought hard, and I didn't expect DeAndre Hunter to have a 27-point game. I just didn't. I thought this game would be a little bit easier. I know I picked Celtics in 5. I think I've been getting the flow of this right, and I knew that this was going to be a tougher game, but I thought the Celtics would be a little bit more comfortable in the fourth quarter. But hey, the Hawks played with some pride. I just don't think they're going to have anything left in game 4. We'll talk about that tomorrow, but our game 5, but we'll see how that goes. But the Celtics did a really, really good job holding off a real tough charge from the Hawks. It's just the Hawks don't have the defense to stop the Celtics at all, and they just can't make plays when they need to make plays. It's just it. And now they got to go on the road? No, the Hawks are done. Talk about that. I'll talk about the schedule and why tomorrow is – why do I say tomorrow? I guess it's the Monday podcast. So, yeah, tomorrow, Tuesday, is a must-win game. That's next. First, let's talk about the ultimate basketball GM. You think you can run a team? All right, prove it. Check out Ultimate Pro Basketball GM. It's a cool game that lets you run a team. I know that I can't be a good NBA GM, but hey, maybe you can try it over here and do it virtually. The game allows you to manage every strategic aspect of a franchise, playing through seasons, leading your franchise and fans to glory as you build a dynasty. You are responsible in this simulation for dealing with the challenging personalities, players, and coaches. You got to hire the right staff, trade your players, make the draft picks, train them, make them better. You do everything from the arena. You're responsible for everything. So It's a challenging, realistic game world. Ultimate Pro Basketball Jam, completely free, playable offline. You can play on the go as you want to, when you want to. And if you are, just checking it out, you want to get you're a Locked On Celtics listener, you get a 100% free boost to your franchise when using the promo code Locked On. Enter that promo code Locked On, all caps, in the game store. Make sure you check it out. Download the game. Just visit probasketballgm.com. Scan the code over here on the YouTube, or look it up on the app stores. probasketballgm.com, Ultimate Basketball GM. Start your dynasty today. One thing that stood out in this game 4 is the officiating, which was weird because they called so many fouls and so many illegal screens. So before the game on the TNT side, they were saying the Hawks made it a point to highlight to the officials Al Horford's illegal screens. And they called him for one right away. And they said, before the game, the Hawks said to the refs, hey, watch the illegal screens, the Horford illegal screens. And I think the referees said, oh, yeah, we're going to watch for illegal screens, but we're going to watch for all of them. It's not just going to be Al Horford. You just tell your guy, we're going to watch for all of them. You remember a couple years ago when Chris Paul, at this point, maybe a little bit longer, was with OKC and they won a game against Minnesota partly because it was a close game and somebody checked in, their jersey wasn't tucked, and he said, oh, it's a delay of game. It's a delay of game. An obscure delay of game rule that no one gives a crap about, but he called them out on it, and he basically forced the refs to call that delay of game so they could get the extra point, and they ended up winning the game. Great. Congratulations. The next game, if you remember, they called 2 quick delay games to give was Portland that they were playing next a technical foul, a technical free throw. And that was Chris Paul saying, oh, congratulations, you made your point. You're going to be on SportsCenter. This was in that same vein, I think. I think the official said, okay, you want to watch for the illegal screens? No problem. We'll call them on Al. We'll call them on DeAndre Hunter. We'll call them on Onyeka Okongwu. We'll call them on Clint Capella. We'll call them on everybody. And it just became a foul fest. They called 47 fouls. In the last game, they called 32. In the game before that, it was like 12 or something. And then the first game was 32. And all of a sudden, 47 fouls. I think the refs were trying to prove a point in this game. Basically, shut up, Atlanta. We know, we see it. We're just gonna, when we think it affects the play or when it impedes your progress and makes you unable to defend, we'll call it. Don't worry about us. I can't help but think that. I think whatever the referees were doing, it pissed off Dejounte Murray, because I think he's going to get suspended for game 5, because after the game, everybody's tweeted it out. I tweeted it out. He walked up to an official at the end of the game, bumped the official, not hard, didn't like run into him, but like went up to the official and said something and just did like a quick into his ear. Like he said something. And look, you can't touch a ref. The NBA under Adam Silver is lenient as hell. It's there's always like everything's a reaction to something in life. Everything's a reaction to something. So, David Stern was crazy, like draconian with his punishments. And Adam Silver's like, no. We want a better relationship with the players because we're making so much money and there's a lot of money to be had. And we don't want this adversarial relationship with the players. So we're not going to punish them as harshly. And now it's, one game suspension. Like Draymond Green got 1 game for stomping Sabonis. Draymond would have gotten like 4 games under David Stern. Like, what are we talking about here? So, but regardless of that, the one thing you cannot do is touch a ref. You cannot touch a ref. And I think what Dejounte Murray did was much more direct and egregious, targeted towards an official than what Grant Williams did. at the beginning of the year that got him suspended for a game. So I think Murray is done. I don't think the Hawks have anything left. My entire flow for this series, like I said, is kind of been I've kind of been pretty close, where I thought the Celtics were going to go out to a 30-point win. They did lead by 30. They kind of let it go a little bit in game 1. I thought game 2 would be a little bit closer, and it kind of went the way I thought. I thought game 3 was going to be the Hawks game to win, and they won it. Game 4, I thought the Celtics were going to come out strong, and they did. And then I knew that the Hawks were going to cut it to a single-digit lead at some point, and they did. But then I thought the Celtics would kind of answer and win a little bit more comfortably. Okay, so this was a tougher game than I thought. Then coming to Boston, all it's going to take is that big burst, like first quarter, come on out, be strong, hit them with a 30-10 run, go up 20, and it's easy street after this. And if Dejounte Murray isn't there, it's easier street, the easiest street, because he's been their best player, I think, overall in this series. And if he's not there, he's the only guy that's consistently been hitting threes, then they're toast. There's just no way. There's no way they can handle the Celtics without Murray in a closeout game in Boston, where these other role players aren't going to be able to play. They just don't play well. I think it's a wrap. And it has to be a wrap. It has to be a wrap. And here's why I'm saying Tuesday is a must-win game. Because if the Celtics win game 5, game 1 against Philadelphia is Saturday. And then they go Saturday, Monday, and then they get 3 days off, right? Saturday, then May 1st, and they get the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th off. And then they play May 5th, day off, May 7th, then they go every other day. Unless there's a game 7, then there's 2 days off. But if they don't finish this off on Tuesday, then game 1 becomes May 1st, and then they go every other day until game 7. So you've got Joel Embiid with a sprained knee, and we don't know how quickly that's going to heal. That puts him in jeopardy. Get this thing started as soon as possible. Again, people are going to say, well, you should have won game 3. All right, let's just put that aside. Win this thing on Tuesday night. Get your 3 days off. Play Saturday. Get it started. Put the pressure on Embiid to either play hurt or, hey, if he can't play, if he's not ready, sorry. I don't want to root for injuries. I'm not rooting for injuries, but he's hurt. And that's part of the playoffs. And when it does happen, hey, advantage to the other team. That's how it goes. If one of the Celtics gets hurt, no one's going to be crying for the Celtics. So it is what it is. Take advantage of it. Close this out on Tuesday night so you can get game 1 on Saturday. But then on top of that, you get 3 days off between games 2 and 3. Any extra rest you can get for Al Horford, because he's going to have to go up against Embiid at some point here. Any extra rest you can get Tatum and Brown, do it. So Tuesday night is a must win, because first of all, don't play with your food. You got the Hawks on the ropes. This is a game where they might have one more run left in them. One more run. One last ditch effort, right? They're almost done. They're almost finished. They're going to throw one last big haymaker to see if it can catch you on the chin and knock you out. Just avoid that. Put them to just put them out of their misery. Come out strong. Finish them. Take your days off. Take the extra rest. Put the pressure on Embiid. Got to do it. I like how Tatum was talking after the game, saying they've learned their lessons and they've got to come out as if they're down 3-1 and be the desperate team. I want to see that. I want to see that be true. I really want to see that be true, because that shows that they are actually learning. I think they've applied their lessons. I think a lot of those lessons showed up in this Game 4 win. Now, show us that you've got those lessons embedded in your brain. Finish them off Tuesday night. Set yourself up for a much more advantageous second round series. I'll be here to talk about more about this and looking ahead to that Game 5. Obviously, there's a Game 5 post game that'll happen Tuesday night. And then hopefully we're preparing for the Sixers, and we'll get you full preview and all of that for the rest of the week. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. This show is daily, bonus podcasts whenever they play. So a game Saturday night, there will be a post-game podcast on that Saturday night. Whenever there's a game in the playoffs, you will get a podcast. So no one's podcasting at this kind of schedule. So subscribe wherever you get your shows. Hop into that YouTube comment section. Let us know what you think. Let me know what you think. You agree with me, disagree with me? What's your assessment of the game? Start a conversation, be part of the conversation, and share the podcast. I'd love it if all of you regular listeners, all of you new listeners, if you want to as well, tell everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.